Well, hello and welcome again to another edition of Evening Jesus. Remember, this week we're talking with my good friend, Stephanie Zimmerman, who's also a marriage and family therapist. And we're just talking about some of the challenges that this pandemic is highlighting in regard to our marriages.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I had for you is this. What if your spouse is just more anxious than you are? And all of this COVID-19 business is just bringing up all sorts of fear, all sorts of like what if and what about, and they're sort of scanning the horizon, looking for all of the things that could go wrong, and it's impacting the relationship, it's impacting the home in a negative way. So how do you affirm and, how do you navigate that in a healthy way? Let me just ask you that question, because this seems tricky, seems like tightrope.
It's huge,
Yeah.
It's huge. So in our practice, actually, we have seen some really interesting trends through all this COVID-19 stuff. And one of those trends is that this is collectively, as a society, bringing up all of our own past traumas. So we are collectively all quarantined. And for some of us, that brings up feelings of being trapped, feelings of not having control. All sorts of experiences from our own past can be triggered and being triggered right now without even our knowledge that it's being triggered. So I want to keep that in mind as we talk about this, because your spouse might be getting triggered and may not even realize that they're being triggered. The other thing to keep in mind as we go into this topic is that if we had 10 doctors here in the room and we were asking their opinions about all this, we'd probably get 15 different answers. And so I think in all of this, we've probably all experienced people on both sides of all of the issues here feeling like they have the right perspective. And so when you and your spouse might be in very different ends of the spectrum here, keep in mind that we don't actually have like a right perspective. And so instead of trying to win the war between you and your spouse on if they have a right to be anxious or not, let's just keep in mind it's their perspective. Let's get underneath what that surface level stuff is and get to the root of what's going on. So if you have a really anxious spouse, it doesn't matter if it's masks or cleaning the groceries before they come in the house or whatever it might be. Really, they're experiencing some fear. So how can we offer compassion and join them in, hey, I see that you're really afraid right now, and how can I come around and support you?
Wow.
Oftentimes, though, what happens, rather, is that two dynamics can happen. So one spouse can be feeling an emotion, and imagine that you have this like balloon inflating in front of you as their emotion is getting bigger and bigger. So they have this fear emotion, and this balloon is getting bigger and bigger. And no one likes to feel these big emotions, right? And so instead of holding their balloon and going, okay, how can I deflate this balloon myself, knowing that I have control over my emotions, they play hot potato with this balloon. And they're like, here, you take it. And they shove this balloon towards their spouse. Now, for the most part, we want to help our spouses, right? So we take that balloon and we're like, okay, how can I handle your anxiety for you? But the reality is you can't deflate your spouse's balloon, only they can. And so now you're holding your spouse's balloon and your own balloon inflates because you're frustrated that you have their balloon. And then you start playing hot potato back and forth. Hence the fight gets big,
Yes.
right? And so what we need to do rather is to join them and say, man, I'm noticing that I'm wondering, maybe you're getting really afraid right now, and how can I join you in supporting you to work on helping you with that fear? Now, you can't do it for them. They have to do it, but you can join them and support them through that. The other thing that happens is that you might see your spouse's balloon of fear getting bigger, and you might be really frustrated and ticked off about that. And so you might try to fix their situation so that they don't have that balloon anymore, so that you don't have to be uncomfortable with their balloon, because their balloon makes you feel uncomfortable, or you have a hard time tolerating it. And so you start meddling in their stuff so that your problem goes away. And in reality, you need to recognize your own balloon that just inflated right there of, discomfort with your spouse's experience. and work on calming that within yourself so that you don't start meddling in someone's balloon that you don't have business.
Wow. That is awesome. Thanks so much. I love the balloon image, and I see it happening every day in my with me, right? And how, man, I can blow that balloon out pretty quick. So thanks so much, Stephanie. That's super helpful. And neighborhood, we will see you tomorrow night for a bit more of our conversation with Stephanie Zimmerman.